I'm here to answer the age-old question: should runners go to the gym and get their swole on, lift heavy ass weights in the gym? And considering that I am currently turning into a runner myself, and I'm a sports scientist... Oh, hey, what's up? Let's take a minute and talk about it. So obviously runners shouldn't be super jacked out of their mind if their primary focus is running. So even though that might be very obvious, the current rise of hybrid training and hybrid athletes, so individuals that are actually quite jacked, quite muscular, going to the gym and still performing relatively well, doing marathons, doing half marathons, I think it's a relevant topic to talk about. And you need to remember there are different iterations of strength training and different ways we can utilize it for specific sports. So even if you aren't looking for a how to be hybrid guide, strength training can be very, very beneficial for somebody who's looking to get even better at running. So even though I would still consider myself more a hybrid athlete than a pure runner because I go to the gym 4 times a week, I'm gonna change that slightly at least. I'm gonna go a little bit more to the running side of things because I want to see how far I can push it and how much better I can really get, giving a larger quantity of my training to running. And there are essentially only 2 real questions that we need to answer. And these 2 questions are: why should runners even bother going to the gym in the first place? And obviously, how should they do it? So what exactly should they be doing in order to make this less of a waste of time? Starting with the why. Running in itself doesn't really promote any muscle growth. So this might sound weird to some people, because starting off with running, most of us experience severe muscle soreness after those first runs. And even I experience very sore legs after some pretty intense runs. But muscle soreness alone doesn't mean you're gaining any muscle mass. It just means that your body's going through movements, intensities, durations of exercise that you aren't really used to. Does this mean that running doesn't promote any muscle growth? Running does promote some level of muscle growth in the initial stages, especially for untrained individuals. And if you really push it quite far with the running and go really intense, I guess there could be some further muscle growth potential there, but it's very, very small and it's probably very dependent on your genetics as well. So if you are just meant to be an absolute monster with tree trunk legs, the likelihood that you will gain some muscle mass in your lower body just by running is quite high. But if you are like most people and not meant to have ginormous legs, you won't build much, if any, musculature whilst only running. The question now arises, is that bad, and why is it? Let's hit it. All musculature supports our joints. So every muscle laying around this tiny knee joint is supporting it. Consider this. On a run, you have thousands of repetitions where more than a body weight is literally hammering onto that knee, onto that ankle, into that hip joint. And the only thing that's there to move our body and to support this whole system is the muscle itself. And if there isn't enough muscle to support your system, what happens, quite simply put, is that too much force is going directly into the passive structure. And in the long run, that's going to have a negative impact on your joint health. You're probably going to run into some strains, into some slight injuries, or even major ones. Fucked up knees aren't really that uncommon. So a little bit more muscle and a little bit more strength will, with very high likelihood, lead to less injury. And that's good. And the cool thing about all of this is gaining some strength and some muscle mass isn't really that hard. So we are already done with the why the fuck should you do it. Let's tackle the what should you do and how should you do it. But here's a short disclaimer. You don't have to do a lot. By any means. It's actually quite minimal. And for all the people thinking this is the how to get jacked ass legs while still being a runner, this isn't it. This video will be about making sure that you don't hurt yourself and that you have a basic level of muscular strength and muscular development in order to optimize for your running performance. That's kind of the idea. So it's super easy to stick to this training routine, and it's super minimal, and there's not a lot to think about. And that's great, because it's making things much easier, and that's exactly what you need if your goal is to be an incredible runner. Most of your trainings should still be running, so it doesn't really make any sense to spend hours and hours in the gym. So what I'm about to show you here is probably one of the simplest and most bang for your buck exercises that you can do as a runner to strengthen your lower body. Pretty effectively, actually. It is called the Bulgarian Split Squat, BSS, bullshit squats. And this is how you do it. A very easy way to determine where your foot needs to stand is when sitting down, just extending one leg and standing exactly where that foot is landing. And now all we have to do is put our rear leg on top of, let's say, a sofa, a chair or whatever, and squat down. So just lower yourself as low as you can get ideally touching the knee to the floor, or I'm gonna have another alternative for you guys later that's even more challenging. And all you have to do now is just, oh, it's harder than that. And all you have to do now is stand up, back up, go down, stand back up. And what we're training with this is both the glutes, actually quite a lot. My glutes are sore from my last leg day and they are already on fire. The quads and the adductors, all muscles that are used quite a lot when running. So just going down and up and doing that for both legs. Obviously, super simple, super effective. And depending on what feels better to us, we can either go a little bit closer or a little bit further away. Going closer will in most cases lead to more quad development because we will push our knee further over our toes, which isn't something to worry about, by the way, and it's just going to stimulate more quad growth. While we place our foot a little bit further away, we will have a larger angle in the knee joint and a smaller angle in the hip joint. And that's going to really stretch out those glutes. If this is actually too easy for you, you could add weight theoretically. So let's say a couple of dumbbells. These are 12 kilograms, I think, and just do them weighted. You can either do with 1 dumbbell or 2 dumbbells. Doesn't really matter depending on how much weight you need. But what do you do if you don't have any weights? We can elevate the front foot. This isn't ideal, by the way. I just don't have a box or anything that resembles it to show this to you, but I'm gonna do it this way. Wouldn't recommend it, not that safe, but let's hit it. This will increase the range of motion. I can go even deeper. As you can see, this is the maximum level of range of motion that I can actually reach, making it even more challenging in this bottom position. And doing it this way, most people probably don't need any extra weight. So just body weight will probably be enough. That something like 12 to maybe maximum 20 reps will get really challenging. And how many sets do I need to do of these? 4 to 6 sets is probably more than enough to stimulate a base level of hypertrophy. Remember, we don't want to get big bulky legs, we just want to strengthen our lower body so that we don't hurt ourselves. 4 to 6 sets across 2 separate sessions throughout the week isn't that much work. It's not gonna take that long. And that's really good that way. But one thing's very important, and it is that every single set has to be at least somewhat intense and exhausting. So this is how the last repetition of most sets should probably look like. It needs to be challenging, otherwise it won't really work. But remember, you don't have to push it too far. We're not doing this to get super jacked and stronger and stronger and stronger throughout time without a cap. Try improving your performance as long as necessary. So if you're at the point where you feel like it's actually kind of getting useless and you feel strong enough, just do a base level of strength training, maybe decrease the amount slightly so that all you're doing is maintaining. At some point you just don't need more. And yes, this isn't a complete strength training routine. This is only one exercise. That's gonna change quite a lot. If you really want to dial this in and dial your strength training, and there are a couple of extra things you can do to make it even better. For example, doing something for your posterior chain. This exercise doesn't target any of your hamstrings. So doing something like a RDL, be it with dumbbells or with barbell, is an incredible idea. If you have access to a gym, you could also just do leg curls, also cash money. But those are the basics, and everything beyond that is based on personal preference, personal problems, maybe some injuries from the past. And I can't cover that during this video, obviously. And that's basically it for today's video. I hope that you learned something, taken something away, and I hope that through this video you won't hurt yourself as many times throughout your running career. That would be a pleasure. But that's it from me for today. Feel free to leave a like and follow, would really appreciate that. Bye.